And we're joined by CBS Sports WNBA analyst Terrika Foster-Brasby. Are you not entertained?
I am just happy to be able to breathe.
We have been waiting to breathe in this one, but we finally get this matchup. We have the Aces, who ended up getting this victory, an overtime victory over the Mercury, or over the Fever rather. But before we dive too much into what happened for Indiana, I want to start with what we saw out of this Aces team. What stood out to you from their performance?
Defense, defense, defense. I mean, this was a team that knew they had a mission, and I think originally that mission was, we've got to try to do what we did in game 2, which is take Kelsey Mitchell out of it, right? And for a good part of that, they were able to do that, right? They were able to bring some double teams over, cause some friction, make it very difficult for her to facilitate. But then it was also capitalizing on mistakes. This Fever team had 19 to 20 turnovers. They had 7 turnovers in the first quarter alone. And this Aces team, with the experience that we previously talked about them having before, were able to take advantage of that and add over 20+ points off of turnovers. And so it was a combination of things, but defense absolutely was at the forefront.
And then I feel like we have to acknowledge what we did see out of the Indiana Fever, because this is a team that ended up, well, we can back up and say they played the majority of this season shorthanded, but you look at this game 5, you are playing shorthanded because you do lose Kelsey Mitchell to an injury. Then you have another one of your stars, Aaliyah Boston, who gets fouled out there in the final minute of the 4th, was already in foul trouble there in the second half. What was it about this team that they were able to keep this game within, what was it, 4 points and push it to overtime against this Aces team?
It's because they have been there and done that. If there's one team this year that has had to play basketball with seeing someone of importance, someone who is key to their team, get down on the floor and not return back to the game, it is the Indiana Fever. They've done it multiple times. And so it does become a little bit more daunting each and every time you have to go through it. And even more so when it becomes the heartbeat of your team and Kelsey Mitchell. But you could hear Stephanie White saying, we are not going to let this get to us. We have to fight with everything. We have to play with honor. We have to make sure that we are out here fighting for Kelsey, and they absolutely did that. So they know what it's like to play with a sense of resiliency, and I don't think that there was any other way that you could categorize what we saw in the display of basketball we saw from Indiana other than that.
And then you even heard Stephanie White saying, she said, we have been here before. We have been through this. So already knowing that mindset that this team has had to fight through for basically all of the season to get to this point when you're down 2 of your stars. But one thing that I was taking note of, and we were talking about this a little bit while watching the game, you noticed that Indiana was making a lot of mistakes. It was a lot of those turnovers. They had 21 turnovers, giving up 31 points in the process to this Aces team. When I take a step back, and I would love to pick your brain, were the Fever the better team on the evening, just considering if we take away those mistakes, they were running away with this game?
You know what? I feel like it's easy to make that assessment because you think about the 28 points that they were able to get off of turnovers, and you say to yourself, well, if we take away these points, then clearly Indiana has more points and they should be able to win this game. But I think what has to be a factor in that is that it was an equal balance. It was a balance of, yes, Indiana was making mistakes, but Asia Wilson and Jackie Young were able to capitalize on the defensive end in a way that even if they were not scoring points from those turnovers, they were making it difficult to score points regardless, right? So I think that it's easy to kind of look at that and fall into that trap, but I think this was a fair balance of good defense from the Aces, but some pretty darn decent offense from Indiana up until it became a bit more challenging. And we have got to get some love to Odyssey Sims, because once this game started to feel like it could get away from us if we let Kelsey Mitchell leave, Odyssey said, wait a second.
Odyssey putting the team on her back, especially there in the second half. But I do want to dive just a little bit more into this Fever team, because my question to you is, did they arrive early? Because there were a lot of people that were saying, hey, this is a team that's playing with house money. They didn't expect them to make it this far. You think about, you lose your superstar, Caitlin Clark. Do you agree with that sentiment?
So I am probably one who said after Caitlin Clark was not coming, not probably, I was one who said after Caitlin Clark was shut down for the year, I said, I don't know how far this Fever team goes now. Like, I'm not sure if they're going to make a deep run. But what I will say is that I do not think that they exceeded expectation. I think they met expectation, because if you go back to the beginning of this season, what was the one thing that people said about this Indiana Fever team? That they were a contender team, that they had the right pieces at the right time, and that they were good enough to make a deep run and play for a championship, despite not having Caitlin Clark or Sophie Cunningham or Sydney Colson or Ari McDonald and all the other pieces, despite having to add an Aerial Powers late, an Odyssey Sims late. Despite all of that, they still met the expectation of being a contender team and getting to the semifinals. They proved everybody wrong, and there's nothing but respect for that.
100% respect for considering how they battled through this season, all of just kind of the trials and tribulations that they had to go through to still make it to this point and force an overtime Game 5 winner take all. Much kudos to the Indiana Fever. But nonetheless, it's the Aces who are moving on to the WNBA Finals. They will be taking on the Mercury. Well, for what it's worth, if you look at it, Aces won 3 of 4 regular season games against the Mercury. The Mercury, meanwhile, making their first finals appearance since 2021. The Aces, we talked pregame about experience. How will that play a role in Game 5? Well, we'll see if that plays a role as they head to their 3rd finals appearance in the last 4 seasons. We're back joined by CBS Sports WNBA analyst Terrika Foster-Brasby as this matchup, it's finally set. We're going to see the Aces facing against the waiting Mercury for a chance at the WNBA title, but I do want to start this conversation focusing on the Mercury. They entered this season, with a number of question marks. Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, they make their exit this offseason. They go on to lock in the 4 seed in the postseason. They knock off the defending champs in the first round, take care of the top-seeded Lynx in the semis. But what has been your impression? What has stood out to you when you look at their postseason run?
I don't think that this Phoenix Mercury team had the easiest path to the finals, right? First of all, when you get to the postseason, the first team that you've got to match up with is the New York Liberty, and they're the defending champs. Now, granted, they weren't the same New York Liberty team that started the season 10-0, but nevertheless, they are still an experienced core. They're still an experienced team that had a lot riding on getting there, and they didn't make it easy. Then they move on to Minnesota, who was the finalist in the year before of the WNBA Finals. Keep in mind, too, that this is a Phoenix team that had to really find their way early on in this season. They started the season without Kalia Copper for 11 games coming off of a knee injury. They had Satu Sabali, who missed some time. Alyssa Thomas missed some time. So they had to figure out how to gel, how to build that chemistry. But when they did, they did. They took Nate Tibbetts' offense and they ran with it, and it got them in the position that they are now.
I think resilience is a really good word we can use to describe them. But meanwhile, for the Aces, they entered the postseason as the hottest team in the W. They gave up one to the Storm en route to taking that series, and it's been a back and forth battle against the Fever, one that has taken us to overtime. But nonetheless, I want to know what stands out to you when you look at this 2025 Aces postseason run.
Well, you know what? Unlike the Phoenix Mercury, this Aces team has been there and done that, and they've been there and done that together. Phoenix, as we talked about, was building a roster. They only brought back 2 players from last year, and that was the Aces. On the other hand, they returned almost everybody with the exception of a few. And so they have been here before. They understand what it's like. This is their their 3rd appearance in 4 years. Like, they know what it means to be in this place and in this position. And also, even though Phoenix has players that have played in championship games before, Alyssa Thomas, DeWanna Bonner, she's a champion, Kalia Copper, she just won in 2021. At the end of the day, they haven't done it as a unit, and I think that is what stands out as being different with this Aces team. Last thing that I will say is that they remind me of the 2021 Chicago Sky. The 2021 Chicago Sky did not have the biggest and best and most dynamic season. They entered the postseason 14-14. At the time, the league had 28 games. So they entered this post 14-14. They went on to win the championship. And to me, that shows that literally, it's not about what your record is when you come to the postseason. It's about getting hot at the right time, playing together at the right time. And this Aces team came into this playoffs on a 17-game win streak. Yeah. You can't get hotter than that.
Yeah, now I feel like I'm going to play into that saying. It's not how you started, it's how you finished. And they got hot at the right time and looking to stay hot in the finals. But speaking of the finals, they don't get started until Friday. But why not get an early dive into this matchup at the Aces Mercury? Who are you giving the edge to when it comes to, let's talk front court first?
Well, when it comes to front court, I'd be crazy to not give that edge to the Las Vegas Aces. I mean, anytime you got A'ja Wilson in your front court, you have got the edge. I do like the way that Nalissa Smith has tried to complement A'ja Wilson, and I love that whenever she has the ability to score in double figures, this Aces team looks and feels even better. So it's definitely going to Las Vegas. They have a very, I don't know, we use this word a lot, right? Generational talent. Well, baby, we mean it when we talking about A'ja Wilson. That is generational talent in that front court. So clearly the Aces, to me, have the edge in the front court.
I love this graphic right here. Most games with 30-plus points in playoff history, with 8 of them, and she's coming off of back-to-back 30-plus point performances. But okay, let's talk backcourt. Who's got the advantage then?
Okay, now, hear me out.
Okay.
I know there is Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray in that Aces backcourt, right? And it is the point guard, and it is Jackie Young. I am not mad. However, I am going to give the slight edge, also slight edge to Phoenix, because they have a player who, although is listed as a forward, absolutely plays the guard position, and she knows how to facilitate, and her name is Alyssa Thomas, and that is one bad mama jamma. And I think that if she is facilitating, it is so difficult because she can go so many different ways and so many options. She can go out to Sammy Wickham, who can shoot the 3. She can take it in and attack on her own. And so to me, that's the matchup. Is it Alyssa Thomas versus the MVP and A'ja Wilson? Who is the one that's going to take their team to the promised land?
I love this. Okay, so now, I want to take a step further in this one because you've got Nate Tibbetts coaching. He's coached Phoenix to the franchise's first finals appearance since 2021 in just year 2. And then you got him facing off against Becky Hammon with a chance to take her team to 3 titles in 4 years, her first 4 years with the team. So let's talk coaching edge. Who do you lend that to?
Becky, you got it, sis. You got it, sis. Your experience, like your resume speaks for itself. The way that you galvanize your team and the faces that you make on the sideline, they remind me of when your mom is trying to tell you something, but she doesn't.
I know all about that face.
The face. That is the Becky Hammon face. But honestly, as impressive as it has been to see Nate Tibbetts implement a system in Phoenix that has worked for them, I think that the way that Becky Hammon has galvanized her team here late just really shows that there is more than just, strategy. There is the human element that comes along with bonding and the chemistry that you have with your team. And I think that Becky absolutely has the edge there. She's been a champion twice already in this league. It's very difficult to count out the edge that she brings.
Absolutely. And by the way, that face will get you right in order. So we know all about that one. But okay, so now I'm going to put you on the spot then. I want to get your series pick, but then also I'm going to take this a step further. Give me your series pick and then also give me your finals MVP.
All right. Well, I am going to take the Aces, and let's keep in mind that this is the first time that the playoffs, the WNBA Finals, is going to 7 games this year. So I would say Aces in 6. Well, it used to be Aces in 3 when it was the best of 5, but now that it's a best of 7, I'm going to say the Aces in 6. And I think that this Phoenix team is going to keep it close. I have all the faith in the world that this Phoenix team is going to come ready to play, but I can't overlook the fact that the season series, and I get it, you don't really want to compare season to playoffs, but you can't not take advantage of the fact that the one time that this Phoenix team was able to get the best of Las Vegas was the time that A'ja Wilson didn't play. And I think that says a lot with how you have to maneuver and change your offense when you're playing with A'ja Wilson on the court and when you aren't. It just feels like the momentum is going to be in the Aces' favor. A'ja Wilson is going to be more motivated more than ever. And as much as I know AT and DB and Kai, they're getting Satu, they are going to come for their neck. I just think that the Aces will probably be the ones to get the edge here.
Did you give me your MVP?
She might already have an MVP. She might actually be the person who just won the finals MVP the last time this team was in the finals. But I think A'ja Wilson is going to be the difference maker here. Although Jackie Young could be on her head. Jackie Young is someone who definitely has the potential to show up and show out in big moments. She had 30 tonight, so you can't count anything past her. But I'm going to give it to A'ja Wilson.
Nonetheless, this is going to be a very, very exciting series. And a great point that you made is looking at how this Mercury team has performed against the Aces when they did not have Asia Wilson on the court. I like this front court.
Girl, now they coming for my neck. You know my mentions is about to blow up now because of this.
Yeah, you can get her at. I'm just here to anchor the conversation. As always, Terrika Foster-Brasby with the best. We appreciate you sticking around with us. Thank you so much. Action getting underway starting on Friday. WNBA Finals kicking off from Vegas. Vegas, that 2 seed, so they'll be hosting the opening games of this one. Then they'll follow up on Sunday for Game 2. Game 3, now we're heading to Phoenix. Things getting hot. October 8th, that'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern. Game 4 following 2 days later. And we're going to see, because Terrika sees Aces in 6. We'll see if we make it that far. Nonetheless, it's going to be an exciting series, and we will have you covered from top to bottom right here on CBS Sports HQ.